we're starting today by discussing Friday's top news stories with Gyles and Alison. Welcome.
I'm already troubled by the duvet story. The two duvets at different prices.
Would you go for the expensive one?
I came late to the duvet because my parents never had a duvet. They
You had
only had
blankets.
sheets and blankets. And the other night, we went to stay with some people, and there were sheets and blankets. And I have to say, it was sensational.
Do you get a better sleep?
Well, you get tucked in. My wife, very sweetly, she tucked me in. And you feel really secure, and it was wonderful, I have to say.
Do you know, I don't like being
stealing
tucked
covers,
in.
you and Lady Brandreth.
All night with her. She says I curl myself up in it and all that sort of thing.
I hate when you go to the hotel and they've tucked in the bed.
Yes.
I really can't stand it.
But you feel a bit claustrophobic.
Yeah, I don't like being in a tucked bed.
It takes me 40 minutes to go to bed in the hotel now. You take all the pillows off the bed, first of all, and then the pillows are off. Then you've got to undo the bottom of the bed. Oh, it's so exhausting.
And you've got to put all the toiletries in your bag.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's actually a link to my first story.
Shoplifting.
Oh, that was very good.
It is. Tell us about our
first story here. Worrying new stats today which reveal shoplifting offences in England and Wales are on a record high level, and not just because she's half-inching stuff from the hotels. So, highest record. What needs to happen to turn the tide on this epidemic? The changing the rule of the £200 threshold, do you think that'll help?
Yes, this is new news in the sense that there is some good news announced on the same day, which is that violent crime is at a very low level.
Yep.
And it's this smaller crime. But is it a smaller crime? That's the point.
Yeah.
Until recently, any offence where you were stealing goods worth less than £200 did not have to be reported to the police. So that people
they could get something for £198.
You get the idea.
Well, you're right.
Pretty much.
Yeah, you get the idea that it's almost allowed. They accept £200. Now that's what's going to change. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. So I mean, these numbers are really, really worrying. So it's the highest recorded shoplifting ever. But I kind of wonder, in a way, if we can take some kind of hope for that, because I think for a long time, lots of shops, they weren't even bothering to report crime because they didn't think anyone was going to do anything about it. So now there's the law is changing, which means that the police will prosecute for anything, even if it's a smaller thing. And also there's a new law coming in which is going to make a special offence of people who commit violence against shop workers, because it's been awful for shop workers.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, so there's the physical thing, but also I've been in shops and I've seen the people who are working in those shops, and they just have to stand there and watch as people wander in, fill up their bags with like whatever they fancy taking, then go off again. And these poor people are working for not often very much money. It's outrageous.
And I'm afraid I've been too frightened to do things. I've seen this happen. And people actually, and they don't look like people who are desperately in need. They look like, the people I saw, a couple of quite strong lads, came and took stuff. And I was too cowardly to call them out. I began saying...
It's not cowardly, it's actually wise. I think you're doing the wise thing.
I did say something loud to the thing. I said, something's going on here. I said loudly, but I was nervous about it.
Of course you were.
It happens openly. This is, you know, in London, in supermarkets.
It does all the time. But what's also interesting is it looks like a lot of it is organised crime. It is not people who are just going in there because they're desperate. There are some of those people.
We've talked a lot about that on
But
the show,
predominantly it's organised
between
crime.
the two.
Yeah.
Apparently 44%, was it? They reckon. So that's almost half of the shoplifting is actually organised to order.
Yeah.
But Alison, if you're getting a criminal record, I suppose is what it is, right? If you're stealing now, but we're talking about overcrowding prisons as well. So unless it's presumably a violent crime against someone that works in the shop, if you just get done for shoplifting, you're not going to go to prison, are you? Or
no, I mean, not unless it was sort of it was happening a lot.
Sure.
But I think what's happening.
What would happen to that person?
Would you get a caution for that or something?
Well, you might get a fine. You might get community services, sort of still a thing in some places. So it could be that. But I think it's about society saying this isn't acceptable. For quite a long time, it's been sort of saying, yeah, actually, maybe it is acceptable.
Yeah. The good news is that governments always promise more police on the beat because they know people want that. But the government has announced that 13,000 extra additional officers between now and 2029 are going to be deployed specifically to city centres to make this sort of thing, to be a deterrent.
OK. How would you tackle shoplifting, by the way? If you think the police should be doing more, if you think other crimes should take priority, we want to hear from you, don't we?
Maybe you're a shop owner who's had to kind of step in, or perhaps you've seen a shoplifter and had to take action.
So what we're going to do today, we're inviting you to join the debate, sending us a voice note on WhatsApp. All you need to do is scan the QR code on screen now. That's going to take you to the WhatsApp. Then just send a voice note. Tell us what you think about any stories we're discussing.
Trying to keep it short because it's obviously not a podcast. Not like, don't go on for ages. But listen, you need to be 18 or over and you must get in touch by midday today. Leave a short little voice note.
All right, next story now. Private parking companies are sending out a record number of fines, but does the government need to be doing more?
Well, the thing is, Alice, our consumer expert, she says we should be doing more. Isn't that right, Alice?
Yeah, this is a really interesting story. And in fact, some of the viewers' complaints that I've been looking at over the week have been about private parking companies. So back in 2019, there was a proposal that there would be a government code of conduct which ruled these private companies. That didn't get passed as law. So these private parking companies are completely self-regulated. And this report that came out today is by the RAC, and it said that they're on track for a 12% increase in private parking tickets on last year. So 14.5 million private parking tickets will be issued over this year. And interestingly, nearly half of them will be from just 5 companies. It's a massive industry. It's totally self-regulated. And many, many people are saying that it is completely unfair on consumers.
Self-regulated, Alice. Can we just not pay it?
Well, you can try not paying it, but those legal letters they send out are very, very threatening. They are concerning to consumers, and a £100 fine is quite a lot if you have that hanging over your head. And some of these companies are incredibly litigious. They will take you to court. It's not a criminal offence. What you've done is breach the contract that you entered into. When you drove onto their land and saw a sign that said 50p for an hour, I wish, you entered a contract with that company. And if you don't pay the fine, or somehow you get it wrong, then you've breached that contract, and that's what they'd take you to court for.
Take us all to court. Let's all go to court together.
Well, it's a money-making scheme.
Yeah.
And in 2019, the government did introduce a code of conduct legislation, which ran until, I think, well, about 2 or 3 years. And then the parking companies challenged it, and it's now in abeyance.
Yeah.
So they can run riot. It's not a free country. You can't even park your car on the street. You've got to pay somebody. And you feel, our instinct is, actually, they're doing this as a cash machine.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, and I think that makes people really, really angry. Particularly, go back to that shoplifting thing a minute ago. So people are sitting there thinking, look, I was 5 minutes back to get my car, and now I'm facing £100 fine, which seems to double every couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, other people are wandering into shops and, like proper thieves, and taking whatever they want. And it's this sort of sense that it's not fair is the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Alice, I mean, it doesn't seem to be unreasonable to want a code of conduct.
It's quite interesting that you were saying there used to be these 5-minute fines. So you'd go in, you'd drive around the car park for 5 minutes, couldn't find a space and left, and then you got ticketed, and that was actually outlawed last year. So that they cannot ticket you for that anymore. That's been banned. So tiny bit of progress, but yes, it just seems to be they're a law unto themselves.
Yeah.
OK, we're moving on to our next story. It's so interesting, these stories today. Well, it's no secret that us Brits love a cup of tea, but has making a cup of tea for builders become extinct? Apparently, a lot of us are not making a cup of tea for our tradesmen. 60% of tradies think that it's rude to not be offered a tea and poor etiquette. What do you think?
I'm in despair that this should happen. It is automatic. You should be brought up. As soon as you've been potty trained, you should be told that when somebody comes into the house to help in some way, you offer them a cup of tea.
Anyone.
Anyone.
You cross the threshold.
Indeed, if you want to be inclusive, you say a tea or a coffee, you know, and actually maybe even a chocolate hobnob.
I don't go that far.
Oh, don't you?
I don't do biscuits.
Oh.
Do you know what I do, though? If they're working and I'm cooking maybe rice and peas and chicken,
Yeah.
if I've got to say, are you hungry? Do you want some rice and peas and chicken? They always have a little taste of that.
Oh,
or if I'm
always
doing
round your house.
Or if I'm doing an omelette in the morning, do you want an omelette? I'll give them something to eat, but I don't do
When
biscuits.
I was quite young, I was taken to see a film called Confessions of a Window Cleaner. Some people offer not just tea and coffee, but there are all sorts of extras as well.
Molly, how old were you
Years
when you
ago.
got taken to see that
And
film?
who took you?
Alison, do you offer tea and coffee?
Always.
Or a cold drink?
As soon as somebody's over the doorstep, you've got to say, do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah, of course.
Milk sugar? So
Yeah.
it's the language of life.
I think it's important.
100%.
I mean, who are these people who are not offering tea?
Can I tell you, and my wife has bought some mugs on the side of which is the word thank you, and she always serves it in those mugs.
Oh, that's a good idea. How many of them has she got? Because
Quite a
sometimes you have more like one than one workman, don't you?
We do.
That's a really good idea.
It's a nice idea.
It's a great idea. OK,
Hold on to your hats.
We
This
are
is a
moving
huge
on.
story.
The chocolate digestive has turned 100 years old. But did you know we've been eating them all wrong, Gyles?
Thank you, Jack.
There's a digestive. How do you eat them?
Well done.
first of
Carry
all?
on, Jack.
I know the truth. I know how you should eat them because some years ago somebody explained to me how your taste buds work. And they don't work in the roof of your mouth, they work on your tongue.
Well, I just put them in my mouth. I do.
Me too.
I don't.
Well, I
look
dip.
Let's see
which way.
instinctively how you pick it up and eat it.
You see?
Wrong. The chocolate, if you like chocolate, is now hitting the roof of your mouth.
So I've done it wrong.
No, that is absolute madness to do it any other way than this.
No.
Correct.
I'm so
I
sorry.
would do it with the choc on the top. I would not
No.
ever turn it over that way.
Well, would you take one? Let the boys show them how it should be done. Take one and eat
I wouldn't normally do this.
can't.
What do you
I'm
think
under
is
your
upside
tutelage.
down? Watch. Oh, my God.
Well, what's
feel-
the difference?
Getting the chocolate on your tongue where the taste buds are.
And I guess the salt on your roof of your mouth, maybe. I don't know.
But there's no way you could change your life now and start eating
Exactly.
upside down. It would
This-
be
I actually
crazy.
think we are overthinking it. Just get it in. Get that biscuit in.
No, actually, you can
Enjoy
taste the
it.
chocolate a bit more.
What we don't do is with the builders when they come round, we don't insist that they eat the chocolate digestive, because that would be putting our values on them. So have the biscuit the way you want, but if you want to taste the chocolate, then you put it in upside down as you receive it.
Do you know what? I think you might be right.
Well,
I haven't had a
On something.
digestive for ages.
Aren't they good? Do you ever, with a
I'm
plain
really
digestive,
enjoying myself. Oh, we've got napkins. Here you go.
have you ever had
Do you use napkins at home?
Of course.
I do too.
We still call them serviettes.
Thank you
Gyles and
so
Alison
much.
still with us, talk through more of Friday's headlines.
And you can let us know what you think about our news stories today by scanning the QR code, which is on the screen right now. Send your voice note to WhatsApp so we can have a little discussion. Isn't that good?
It's lovely, isn't it?
So good.
Gyles, we're going to start with you. Apparently, young people have very high expectations when it comes to starting work. What do we know about that?
Well, it's a worrying world. Jeff, I notice, isn't wearing socks. I mean, that's a little bit unusual.
You're not
isn't
happy
it?
about that?
I'm not happy about that. I think if you come to a programme with
Yes.
a lovely car to give away,
Yeah.
you should possibly do the viewers the honour of wearing socks. No socks, please. I'm Jeff.
I like no socks on
Oh,
men
do
in
you?
a suit.
Do
Yeah,
you?
I
Oh,
quite
do-
like,
oh, do-
I quite
oh.
like the look of it.
Oh,
yeah.
well.
What about a knitted bow tie? Is that...
I like that. as
Yeah,
well. yeah. I like everything Gyles does.
Well,
Everything.
later, you'll see me sockless.
Oh,
I'm going to give it a go.
lovely.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, the point is that different generations have different views of the
I
world.
don't think you'll like it at all.
Don't you think so?
No, I don't think you'll like putting your bare foot into your shoe.
No.
It's going to be a bit weird.
It's a bit personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But young people are different, and it appears there's some research that suggests that young people are not wanting to get out of bed to go to work unless they've got a job that's worth at least £40,000 a year.
Wow. I mean,
And they'd rather, apparently, sit in bed scrolling, and, oh, that's what the phrase is, than go out and get a job. This is, I think, actually serious news and rather sad.
It is anecdotal, though, isn't it?
It is
From the
anecdotal.
policy committee with from the Lords. So.
Yeah, do you know what? I am just a bit sick of people constantly having to go at young people.
Yeah.
It just feels all the time they're being sort of slagged off for using their phones, or that they're not wanting to work hard enough, or they're on benefits, or this or that. The reality is...
I only told him he should be wearing socks.
The reality is, there's always been some people who are a little bit lazy, and there's always been some people who work really, really hard. And I think that is the same with younger generation. It's really hard for them. It's really hard to get on the housing ladder, really hard to find jobs. They've got to, like, all that student debt if they go to university. And then they've got people moaning on at them about not working hard enough.
It does feel that it's never been a harder time, and it's almost bucks the trend of history, doesn't it? Because invariably, like there's an implied promise with our generation, your generation: work hard, get on the property ladder, invest in pensions or whatever, and you will be looked after.
You say it's
And
never
that's-
been a harder
that's-
time.
well, it
in
has-
many ways, it's never been a luckier or better time in
Yes,
terms
and-
of health.
I know,
and
but at the same time,
opportunity.
Gyles, like-
No, I think we can get into the habit of saying it's never been a harder time, and you
Well,
poor.
my point is, it isn't a habit. It's bucking a trend of history. Like, it's now very difficult for a young person to get on the property
What I'm
ladder.
saying, easy to get into the habit of saying things are tough. Things have always been tough, but they're not nearly so tough as they were in, say, our grandparents' generation. The 1930s, 1940s, even 1950s were financially tougher. There was more unemployment. There are opportunities now. There is health available now. There is more education available now than ever. And
yet we have...
And yet we have people with...
huge problem with child poverty.
We have people We have this... Yeah, absolutely. But we're not talking here about child poverty. We're talking here about...
We're just talking about
But it is
All linked.
interconnected, because if people don't see a future where they're going to be able to have a nice house and they're able to go on holiday once a year, and, you know, and that's why I do think a lot of stuff the government's been doing around making work pay, so increase the minimum wage, try and make conditions better for people around, like, maternity leave, and, like, ending zero-hours contracts, all that sort of stuff that's made people think, God, it's grim out there.
But we are in agreement, I think, that engagement with work is good.
100%.
For young people. And we do have now, and I approve of this, a minimum wage. It has just gone up. Even if you worked, I think it's about, you might get maybe £25,000 a year if you worked on the minimum wage and worked hard and long hours. It's not a lot.
Yeah.
But if you are young, you've got to start somewhere. And if you start somewhere, you go somewhere. If you stay in bed scrolling the internet, you go nowhere.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, I hear what you say, but at the same time, let's not say, oh, we understand and therefore tolerate it. Say, we understand, but actually you will find if you do go out and take any work opportunity, it could lead somewhere.
I agree with that to a point, because also the blame is, we're saying that that's young people's fault for sitting there scrolling on the internet. What about all the people that are making billions of pounds out of social media, which is essentially a drug, which has got them hooked on, and then we're just sort of leaving them to their future? I understand it's personal responsibility, but as a society, we have created this.
Imagine going back in time, right, and remembering when you were younger, right, and you was, like, doing your work experience or you were doing things for free or whatever. Imagine your time then, if you had a mobile phone, would you have been the same person? That is my question to you.
I mean...
It's just a different time now, and I think young people, it is a struggle, isn't it? It's a struggle with regards to those phones and stuff.
It is, and you're 100% right. I mean, I've worked since I was 13, but largely, because when I was 13, growing up, there was nothing else to do.
There was nothing
There
else.
was
But
nothing
also,
else.
my wife picked peas in the summer because she lived in Kent where they were... Anyway, she did every summer for very little money, but actually, she liked being out of doors. She liked the people she met.
Yeah.
It gave her the habit of work, and she gradually got different jobs. So...
You've got to get out there, haven't you?
You have got to get out there,
I agree
I'm
with
afraid.
that.
OK, how do you feel about this? Do you feel like life is finally catching up with you? Apparently, scientists have discovered the age that youth ends. Apparently, it's 36.
You're joking.
36 years old. That is apparently the time where you grow up. What do you think,
I
Jen?
think it's about right.
I'm waiting to find out. So,
Yes.
like, maybe in a couple of years' time, when I hit 36 and it all starts to slow down, then I'll...
We have done our homework. We have read the small print of this story.
Go on.
Their idea of what being a youth is drinking too much, partying too late,
Right.
doing silly things.
Right.
And if you are like me, and you have never drunk, and you have never partied, and you've never smoked a cigarette, you are still waiting for youth to happen. So I've not passed it by. I'm just still waiting for the moment when it takes me
Shall
on.
I tell you when I knew I had to grow up? It was on the way home when I was 30 years old. I just had my birthday. I just had Aidan in my arms. He was tiny, and I was in the car, and I was, like, going back home, and I was just thinking, oh, my God, I'm responsible for this little life.
Yeah.
And it was at that age, I think that's when I just snapped out of it and I grew up.
I think you're totally right. The responsibility of having children is when you begin to grow up.
But you don't want to stop having fun ever, do you? I mean, some of the most amazing people you meet are people in their 90s who are still having fun.
Yeah.
And...
I went to a 100-year-old's birthday the other day.
No, you didn't.
A lady called Thelma Ruby.
All their
She's
faculties.
fantastic. In fact, we ought to have her on the programme.
We should.
Yeah, because she's the one... We're going to do a special VE Day programme, and we might get her on, because she will remember VE Day.
Was
The
it the
point is-
party?
What a party. She sang, she danced, she was on the stage, 100 years of age.
What's her secret?
Not even a cane. Her secret is being interested in other people.
Oh, that's
She looks
lovely.
outwards all the time, and she's had her travails. She's a widow, you know. Things have gone wrong in her life, but she's just so positive.
I love it when you meet those old people who are 100, and then the news always interviews them and go, what's your secret to a healthy life? And they go, half a pint of beer, 5 fags, and you just see the report go, oh, no.
I've never exercised.
Yeah, exactly. They interviewed a woman in Italy once. She was so funny. She was like, what's the most interesting thing? She was like, nothing's interesting has ever happened to me. Literally. So the Pope came through the village once. That was it. I've had a really boring life. And you can see the guy going, oh, God.
I was talking to my friend who works in a nursing home, and she said the old people who are really active, they die off really quick.
Oh, no.
And the old people who are, like, just chilling, like, watching a bit of TV, relaxing,
Go on
they last
forever.
for ages. So I mean, there's something in it. What do you think about that?
Well, my mother, when she was very old, she died when she was 96, used to watch The Sound of Music on not a DVD, on a thing you put into a tape.
Video.
Yeah.
And she watched it almost every day with her tea, but she never got to right at the end because she said, I shan't get to the end, then I won't have a reason to get up tomorrow.
Oh.
So I don't think she ever saw the end.
never saw the end of
I don't think she ever saw the end of The Sound of Music.
Oh.
Hot spoiler, they made it.
They made it through. Oh, thank you. Gyles, Alison, you're going to come back a little bit later?
Oh, lovely to hear those
Lovely.
voice notes.
Definitely. I can't wait.
Thank you so much for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every single day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the morning.